30th, 2024. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. And welcome to World Gone Wild. I think we're just going to keep naming each show a different name every time we do one of these headline shows. Last week we did Coming Unglued, and today is World Gone Wild. And we can get creative and have a little bit of fun with this, because why not, right? Wow. So, what I don't understand is why people can't just be nice. As Christians, why can't we just have discussions about things without attacking each other, calling each other false teachers and all that stuff, right? I have no idea why this is the case, but this is the world we live in, and, you know, I'm trying to have a discussion and the daggers come out. But that's typical. You know, some people have very strong beliefs about certain doctrines, and they're going to be upset when they hear something different than their Christian paradigm that they've been taught and the way that they perceive the Bible. Anyway, today is, again, World Gone Wild. Why? Well, because the Catholic Church just admitted a teenager into sainthood. Look at this. Italian teenage computer wizard set to become the first saint of the millennial generation. Now, one of you sent this to me probably about a week ago. I'm finally getting to this. How creepy is this? So, as you know, to be admitted into sainthood, a miracle has to be proven to have happened, right? And I think it's actually, the new rule is like 2 miracles that have to happen. And according to this story, his first miracle was a 7-year-old boy cured of pancreatic cancer. And how was he cured? Well, he apparently touched a piece of one of this boy's t-shirts. Now, the second miracle is a little bit more obscure. It was a lady who went to his tomb, which is what you're looking at here, to pray for her daughter. And her daughter was apparently healed. Now, I'm hoping you're seeing the problem with all this, right? Jesus was the one who people could touch his to touch the fringe of his robe or gown or whatever the Bible says to be healed. And to me, this is paramount to abomination and blasphemy. I mean, how did this boy even reach the status of having a tomb for people to pray at before even his first miracle? Well, according to the article, they're calling him the patron saint of the internet. The patron saint of the internet. Now let's read this. But before we read this, can anybody tell me what shape this tomb is? Take a really good look at it. I'm going to go in the chat, see who's paying attention, because you guys are super smart. What is the shape of this tomb? Here's the boy here. Let me go in the chat. How's the sound, you guys? I had a little bit of a technical difficulty coming into today's show. All of my filters were erased. I had some kind of whatever. Something came in and pretty much like erased all my settings. So I had to feverishly, quickly redo the settings. So therefore, this is why I'm a little bit flustered this morning. But I think we're back on track. Fortunately, I have these settings memorized. But they're always trying to do something to sabotage the live stream, aren't they? Every single day, we have either a troll or technical difficulty. It's unbelievable that we're even still able to go live anymore. Trapezoid. Yes, Jamie. Very good, but it's even more specific. One of you has eyes to see. Let's see who gets the answer here. Rhombus. It's a little bit more basic. Thanks, William Lamb, for the sound check. I really appreciate that. It's a little bit more basic than that. It's pretty simple, actually. Let's go back and look at the whole look at the whole thing, okay? Look at what he's encased in here. You see this? The whole thing from the floor to the top, the brown part. What is that? Let me go back in the chat. I know it's early, you guys. It's a trap. Cheryl says, I don't know. You guys, it's an inverted pyramid, isn't it? The tip of it's in the ground, but it's an inverted pyramid, right? I mean, that's what it looks like to me. So, yes, thanks, David. It's an upside down pyramid with the top cut off, with the capstone cut off, right? Now, who in their right mind would make a tomb like this? An inverted pyramid. Now, you could see this here. Let's zoom this up a little bit. Oops. Okay, there you go. Maybe now you can see a little bit better. This brown part, this whole triangular thing, the tip is cut off. It's basically an inverted pyramid. Now, we can't see the other side of this thing, but think of the odds of this. Now, this is creepy. They've got him with his Nikes on. Now, okay, everybody wears Nikes. I understand that, but when you're talking about spiritual significance, it would be the same reason why I would never wear Nikes to church, right? There's something about these symbols that have infiltrated our society. And if they're going to bury a person in their Nikes, that says something, right? That's not just someone buying a pair of Nikes, right? So they've got him in this is unbelievable, with the sun over him and literally his dead body is in this tomb. Now, let's get on to the next story. What else is going on here? Well, remember we talked about catalytic converters? I told you this would become a thing. And I told you that it was a psyop happening in full swing. In fact, I believe our own government is behind these gangs who are going around stealing catalytic converters. Now, Casey, what are you talking about? That's crazy. Well, hear me out. It cost this guy his life. This is General Hospital actor Johnny Wachter. He got slayed during an LA robbery. He was trying to stop someone who was stealing his catalytic converter. Now, I don't watch General Hospital. I think my mom does, or used to. But apparently this guy was a beloved actor on the General Hospital. And think of the irony of this, right? People are in there watching their General Hospital while their catalytic converter is being stolen. It says here, General Hospital actor Johnny Wachter was fatally shot early Saturday when he came upon three men trying to steal the catalytic converter from his car. The killing occurred at 3:25 a.m. Now, most people, you hear someone messing around with your car, you go outside and see what's going on. Well, apparently you shouldn't do that. Cost this guy his life. Now, what is going on here? What is this all about? Well, I had a solution to this a few years ago, because the feds should start regulating catalytic converter recycling. What these criminals are doing is they're stealing these catalytic converters, and then they have somewhere to take them, don't they? To get money. It's not just a little bit of money. It's enough money to take a risk to cut something out of a car in broad daylight or in the middle of the night and go somewhere and get several $100s for it. It's literally money laying in the street for whoever wants to cut it off and take the risk, right? And they assume that most people will just ignore them, or they assume they can get the catalytic converter off the car quickly enough before any cops show up. They've probably even got this organized to where they've got maybe lookouts at the ends of both streets. Now, if you think this is crazy, you guys, this is the truth. This is what's going on. They're looking for patrols or anybody who might be around, and then they quietly walk around the streets, all covered up with hoodies and all this, and their tools, their battery-powered tools, which is the irony of all this, because this is all about the electric kingdom, isn't it? They've got battery-powered sawzaws, and they're cutting off catalytic converters. Now, this can cost you thousands of dollars in repair. And even the cost to repair it, I believe, is inflated intentionally. Now, what is behind all this? Do you guys have any thoughts? I know what my thoughts are behind this, because nothing is by accident. It was something that they could fix so easily by simply regulating the recycling of catalytic converters, right? It's a pretty specific item. No one's going to tear it apart to get the parts out of it. And even if they do, all of those should have serial numbers on them, right? Some of you say they're worth $500. Wow. I didn't even know they were worth that much. But you see my point here. Why wouldn't they fix this? This has been going on for an entire decade, you guys. You know, why wouldn't like Trump or Biden like say something like this? Like, hey, we're going to solve catalytic converter crisis. And this shows you their true intentions. And we're going to get into Trump and Biden and the electric kingdom and why no one ever takes a stand against the electric kingdom. So some of you are over the target. You know exactly what's going on. They want your catalytic converters to be stolen. And they want you to pay the $3,000 it's going to cost to fix it. In fact, they want you so angry about it that you're going to switch to a car with no emissions. See what's going on now? It's an agenda. And both sides are in on it. Both sides are in on it. Because if they weren't, Trump would have stopped all subsidies, all federal subsidies going to electric vehicles during his presidency. Now, he's singing a different tune now, but guess what? I don't believe a word out of these people's mouths. Now, what else is going on? Well, people are coming unhinged. We're going to talk about explosions popping off today. We're going to talk about Trump's new promise that if he gets elected, he'll get rid of electric vehicles, which is hogwash because he's friends with Elon Musk. He's not going to get rid of electric vehicles, but he's telling people he is, and people will believe him, just like he said he's going to lock Hillary up and never did. What else is going on? Well, this guy poisoned an entire fish hatchery full of salmon. An entire fish hatchery. He went around with jugs of bleach and poured them into the tanks. I wonder if he was sick of all the fishing rules, or maybe this was some kind of psyop to make people think that these fish are endangered. You know, it's interesting. They talk about the salmon, and people down in the comments, they're like, oh yeah, we shouldn't be fishing for these anyway. Well, you just took the bait. You guys, millions of these fish die every year before they ever get eaten by you or me. Dead salmon. You know, if you want to do something good, you should catch all the salmon you can before they die. It's part of their life cycle after they spawn. It's natural. And every year it happens. And all that needs to happen is we need to make sure that the beds, the spawning beds, are protected. That's all that needs to happen to make sure new fish will be, regenerated. And we have to make sure that the fish that are out there in the ocean that go out back out to the ocean are able to, grow up and come back. That's it. There is no shortage of fish. And these hatcheries help with that. Probably some of the best tax dollars that can be spent, because you're getting a lot out of this, aren't you? You're getting the food, the nutrients. You're also getting, and it's very healthy food. You're getting exercise. You're recouping some of your costs from the taxes we pay or for fishing licenses. And to me, this whole thing is a good thing. I would actually like to see more of this, like year round. Like here in Arkansas, it's year round. They're releasing trout into the White River. There are like 6 or 7 different species of trout here. It's the best trout fishery in the world on the White River. Look at this. This guy went out. I don't know if this is a psyop or not, but they're saying he's facing millions of potential fines, pouring chemicals into tanks and killing thousands of salmon, and broke into the hatchery. He admitted to the police that he brought the bleach. People are all mad at him, and rightfully so. I mean, who does this? And so, yeah, I think they're really wanting people not... Look at this. Programs like this are vital because human development has caused almost 40% of the salmon to go extinct. Well, let's tell the whole story. Again, every year, millions of salmon die after they spawn. So it's not like they're going extinct. They were going to die anyway. And they just die needlessly and no one catches them because people think they're endangered. It's about the habitat. is what needs to be preserved, is the habitat, so that they can respawn. They can get to where they need to get to and do their job, so that there's endless amounts of food sources. Salmon really are an amazing creature when you think about it and what they do and how God created them. They're very neat fish. And it's weird how salmon kind of sounds like the word Solomon, doesn't it? Wow. Yeah, you think about the bloodline of Solomon, there's some metaphors, aren't there? How God's bloodline had to be preserved. Maybe this is why Jesus fed the crowd with 2 fish, because of this bloodline. And many Israelites, ancient Israelites, had to die to preserve the bloodline. There were many battles fought, and God told them not to mix with the other tribes so that the bloodline could remain pure. It's all throughout the Bible, you guys. And then finally, the tribe of Judah, the lion of the tribe of Judah, emerged to be the savior of the world. It really is a fascinating story. You know, if Hollywood wasn't so corrupt, and there was a good side in Hollywood, I did write a script once, screenplay, of the most epic film that would ever be made. The battles of the Israelites fighting their way through the wilderness up against Nephilim armies. I mean, it would make Game of Thrones look like Sesame Street because it's real. And you wonder, why won't anyone ever make that movie? Because they know that people would come to the Lord. There would be aerial footage, drones flying over the top of the tabernacle with the armies to the north and to the south and to the east and the west, forming a giant cross. There would be visions of Jesus' sacrifice connected to the sacrifice for sins in the tabernacle. Wouldn't that be an amazing and epic movie? Wouldn't that bring so many people to the Lord? There would be flashbacks going forward and backward in time, the timeline, and then they would show the dark enemy on the heels of the Israelites, trying to wipe out the bloodline of Jesus before he could be born. It would be the best Terminator movie ever. There would be false worship. There would be the cult of Tammuz trying to preempt the Jesus timeline, trying to copycat before he was born to throw people off the trail. And then there would be the few faithful who saw the timeline from start to finish and were not deceived and tricked by it, trying to raise God's people up in the last days. I mean, you could do an entire franchise on this. You could do part 1, part 2, the beginning, the aftermath, the 1,000-year reign. You could do the whole thing, but no one will ever do it. And that's how you know. That's how you know who the true Most High is. Because they won't make a movie of the Bible, which would be the most epic movie ever. They won't do it because they do not want to show glory to God. And now you know. The screenplay's already written. It's in the Bible, but no one will do it. Instead, they do these knockoff versions of bits and pieces of the Bible that they then try to rewrite in their image to make you doubt God. Like the discussion we had about evil, the word evil in the Bible and how it was placed there when other words could have been used and were used, such as, can't think of any off the top of my head, but there's 100 different words that the word evil can mean in the translation of that word. But they chose that word. Why? To place doubt in your mind. To chip away at God's judgment. You guys, God's judgment inherently cannot be evil. Period. Evil connotates a lie. Evil connotates deception. Evil connotates evil. Am I wrong? God's judgment in all of those passages cannot inherently be evil because it's God and it's just. In other words, the same act, right? follow me on this. This is important. The same act can be seen different ways based on the reason for the act. So, if the devil wipes out an entire, I'm trying to think of an example. Prime example, the devil makes a sacrifice. Well, that would be inherently evil. But when God asked sacrifice for the sins, God created all this. So it's not evil, it's a judgment. And so what the devil wants is for you to see all this as one thing. He wants you to see God as evil in his actions. Therefore, I reject those parts of the Bible that says God creates evil. The word can mean 100 different other things, and does and is in other parts of the Bible. It's the biblical translators that chose the word evil instead of the 25 or 50 other words that could have been chosen to put in that spot. And that's where you are believing what a man says instead of what the Holy Spirit is telling you in your heart and what the original language text actually meant to say. Now, I'll leave that alone because I know it's a touchy subject, but keep that in mind. Why haven't they made a movie about the Bible? It's really fascinating. Imagine, well, they did do Noah, but that was all messed up. They didn't do that movie right. Imagine Noah getting off the ark. They're the only people on the entire earth. And a rainbow appears in the sky for the first time ever in human history. And they go out and Nimrod starts building a tower in defiance of God. I mean, it just would be amazing. I don't know. I'm just a Bible nerd, I guess. But anyway, let's get back to these headlines here. We got bombs popping off again. This is crazy, you guys. Look at this. NTSB investigating a deadly explosion rocks downtown Youngstown, Ohio. Have you guys heard about this? Look at this, see if this video plays.
Good morning to you, Stephanie.
Come on. All my videos ever play.
Robin,
360.
Good morning. The explosion happened at the building behind me. It blew glass and debris all over this area. Look at this mangled mess. That was a Chase Bank. Police say several injuries have been reported, including one death.
This morning, authorities are trying to figure out what caused an explosion in the middle of downtown Youngstown, Ohio.
I was coming down and I heard a huge explosion and I saw smoke.
The blast happened Tuesday afternoon at this 12-story apartment building that includes a Chase Bank on the street level. Emergency responders racing to the scene.
My firefighters went floor by floor, clearing that building to ensure that no one else was in that building and no one else was
that one guy?
Overnight, first responders were covering the body of a 27-year-old man who worked at the Chase Bank. Police say 7 people were taken to the hospital, one of them in critical condition.
We have no idea what caused the explosion. We know it did a lot of damage to the bottom of the building.
Looks like a clone of some
Ron
actor.
Flaviano was working nearby when he witnessed the explosion, capturing
Look, right next to the double tree. Go figure.
the aftermath on camera moments later.
You see explosions on TV, and all I could think of was 9/11 with the smoke and the
Whoa, he just said it. That's what I said.
dust and everything, just on a much smaller scale. It was just glass, smoke, paper, and all kinds of stuff just coming right out of the building.
Authorities are urging people to avoid this area as they work to determine what caused the blast.
So they still don't know what happened. Have you guys heard about this? Let me go back in the chat. Shocking. Bombs going off. We were just talking about this. Bombs, houses exploding, nothing left. Even the foundation it disappeared. Wow. Nobody's heard about this. The House of Morgan. Oh, let me put it on. Sorry, guys. Put it on the live chat here. I always forget to do that. Double tree. Yep. Boomer. Twin trees. Absolutely. Oklahoma City bombing. Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. Huh. Some people heard. Daryl heard about it. The gas agenda. Yeah, I wonder if they're going to start saying, hey, we figured out what has been causing all these explosions. It's natural gas. And for the first time in history, natural gas just explodes by itself, even though we've been using it since the 1930s. And so now it's because of global warming that the gas is exploding by itself. And so now we have to get rid of it and go electric. This is probably what they're going to say, right? You just never know what's going to come out of these people's mouths. It's just unbelievable. But all I know is every week something is exploding. Anyway, what else is going on? Well, this is kind of a sad story. This guy and his entire field of cattle got lit up by lightning. Oh my goodness. Lightning strike kills Colorado cattle rancher. 34 of his herd and his wife and father-in-law survive. Now, when have you ever heard of this happening before? Colorado rancher and 34 of his cattle have been killed after a lightning strike over the weekend. Mike Morgan, 51, is feeding some of his herd with hay from a trailer on Sunday when the lightning hit near the town of Rand, about 80 miles northwest of Denver. Do any of you live out there? Can you confirm this story? He died despite life-saving efforts. George Crockett, a country coroner in the town of Rand, close to Denver, where the farmland is located, told ABC News that Morgan's father-in-law and wife were nearby and survived. The strike also bowled over dozens more cattle gathering around the trailer, waiting to eat. How sad is that? Wow. Don't go outside when there's lightning in the air, but I don't know. I guess some people just, I don't know. Maybe there was nothing in the air that looked like lightning. Maybe this was some kind of hit. Who knows what's going on with these people? Calling down fire out of heaven. Speaking of fire out of heaven, they're now saying that the sun isn't done yet with this brand new phenomenon that no one seems to acknowledge is brand new. The northern lights happening all around the world. Everybody thinks this is normal. Auroras could paint Earth's skies again in early June. I mean, I can't even believe I'm reading this title. This is something out of a movie. Auroras could paint Earth's skies again in early June. Here are the key nights to watch for. So now, on a summer night, you can watch the northern lights. And that's just normal. Wow. Now remember, we saw this in the Heroes franchise. We were decoding the TV show Heroes, and we saw episodes about a particular character with superpowers that could cause the northern lights to go down as far as Los Angeles. Remember that? I showed you that. I couldn't even believe that. So they were already predictively programming people for this. But this is the shape of things to come in our reality. Let me go back into the chat, see what's up with you guys. Have you guys heard about this? Now, we all know what Biden wants to do. He's executing it now. He is trying to force everyone into electric vehicles, which is a non-sustainable technology. They keep telling us it's sustainable and it's going to save the planet, but we know it's absolutely not. So for those of you that get mad that I don't talk about Biden, I always talk about Biden. But also Trump needs to be called out. We already know what Biden's doing. We called him out. We talked about this lithium mining that Biden is pushing, that he's even convinced some of our Republican governors to mine lithium in their states. Many of your Republican governors have agreed to go into contracts with companies like Exxon to mine lithium out of the ground, which is a very, very, very dirty process. It pollutes groundwater. It creates fields of just nothingness and death. So this is why we have to call out both sides, right? We can't just say, I want my side to win. I'm not going to say anything bad. Well, talk to Sarah Huckabee, who just signed a contract with Exxon to basically pollute southern Arkansas with lithium mining. Okay? This is why we have to hold people accountable. It's not about a contest. They want you to believe it's about a contest. That's how they get away with what they do, because they just keep flip-flopping the sides. But anyway, make a long story short, we already know what Biden's doing. He's already shown his hand. He's federalized electric vehicles. I mean, not federalize. He's basically trying to turn the whole electric federal fleet into electric vehicles. He's pushing for legislation to put higher controls on appliances. We covered all that. So yes, we talk about Biden. And he's basically forced some appliances to be electric when they used to be gas. We already know what he's doing. But Trump's playing a double hand. He's pretending to want to do something about electric vehicles, but he's really not, because if he did, he would have erased every single subsidy for electric vehicles. In other words, federal money given to people like Elon Musk to stop electric vehicle production. So now he says, oh, this time I'm going to do it. He says he'll stop all electric car sales. Well, first of all, how are you going to do that? Second of all, should we take him at his word? Wait, was this before or after he continued to subsidize the electric vehicle market with continued federal spending? Or was it before or after he basically became friends with Elon Musk and got back onto Twitter? Or he was saying the same thing before he became president, that he didn't like electric vehicles. Then he liked them, then he didn't. Here's my point. You can't take these people at their word. They're all in on it. And for them, it's about money. And they don't really have a side. I mean, if you had to describe the side these people are on, they're Satanists. They do what they want, but they have to convince you that they're one way or the other, right? Let me give you an example. You talk to any liberal and you ask them, what is going on with electric vehicles? Well, about half of the liberals will tell you, gosh, it's dirty. They haven't perfected the technology. You have to mine lithium out of the ground. It's very dirty. A lot of the elements inside the electric vehicles are hard to find. They're rare earth minerals. We're highly dependent on China, which isn't good. And it's probably worse for the environment to be carving pieces out of the earth all over the states of America than it is to just keep going with gasoline, or at least propane, which is relatively clean. And they're willing to take their chances when it comes to that. If you talk to most liberals, they understand that. I'm talking about hardcore liberals, right? They'll be like, but the hardcore liberals, they want everybody on bicycles. And no one's doing that, right? For various reasons. And so if that's the case, then what does that mean? That means that Biden is still too far to the right for most liberals, right? Because he thinks that electric vehicle technology is the answer, and it's simply not. Listen, if 50% of Americans drove an electric vehicle, first of all, imagine the amount of lithium batteries you'd need, not to mention the strain on the power grid, which is still largely run by coal and natural gas. So it's a circular argument. You're never going to get anywhere. So that's what I have to say about that. Some people will take Trump at his word just because it's opposite of Biden's perspective, or they think it is, and they'll vote for him thinking he will actually get rid of electric vehicles. And when he becomes president and he does not get rid of electric vehicles, when I call those people out, they will just simply forget that they cared, right? And that's how these people keep advancing the ball. This is how they keep moving the chess pieces, because they rely on our timnesia, that we forget what they told us they were going to do, and people simply forget. Now, tomorrow, got a special show for you guys. We might have some headlines and stuff, but I found tons of wild carrots on my property. You could actually eat them. Wild grapes, which haven't come into fruit yet, and some Indian strawberries. I want to share all that with you. Also, I got an herb garden and put some plants in the raised beds, so we'll take a look at that as well. And maybe some other stuff. We'll see. I'll see if there's another episode of Evil I can decode for tomorrow if it publishes. Let me go in the chat for a little bit, see what you guys are up to. Good morning. Let me make you guys bigger so I can see you. What are your guys' ideas on all this? right. Oh, I got a message from John Pounders. I think he wants to do a show. So we'll probably do a collaboration show at some point with John Pounders. That'll be cool. I know a lot of you follow Now You See TV, so that might be fun. It will be fun, actually. I don't know when this is going to happen, but it should happen pretty soon here. And so I'll get you guys a link to all that. All right. Hey, everybody, thumbs up the video if you can. Mention Chase Bank. It's named for Salmon Chase. No joke. Oh, thanks, Boomer Bear. Many power lines need replaced. Despicable Me 4 has laser of minions. Lots of minions. I didn't read that. Couldn't see it. I love the movie Moses with Charlton Heston, says Dove. All right. Yeah, okay, so these carrots you guys are going to see tomorrow, essentially, they're growing in like almost rock. So there ain't going to be no like harvesting the carrot out of the ground. You'll see tomorrow. I tried, I got like a shovel and a pickaxe, and I'm like, okay, if it's this hard for me to dig the carrot out of the ground, then the root is probably not very deep in the ground, right? It's, in other words, you're going to get more out of the plant by harvesting the stems and leaves, which are completely edible and taste just like carrots, because I chopped a little bit of it off and I tasted it and it tastes just like carrots. It's kind of amazing. It's like it does a trick on your mind almost, because you're looking at this weed growing and you're like, oh, it's just a weed. But then once you see what it is, I start like chewing on it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a carrot taste. Apparently the flowers also are, very tasty as well. But I plucked one of the flowers that already bloomed off and to just try to identify the plant. But the others should bloom, and I'll get some more footage of that today and combine it all together, which will be cool. And then you guys will get to see all that tomorrow. All right. All right, you guys. I love each and every one of you. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you tomorrow. Much love.